Tarik Oguzlu, who's a professor of international relations at Istanbul Aydin University. Professor, thank you so much for being with us on the program. What do you make of these attacks?
Thank you.
And what's the likeliness of it turning into a more serious confrontation between the U.S. and Iran?
I think from the day one of the events, Americans and Iranians have been giving signals to each other, in some way trying to deter each other from further escalating of the crisis. The Americans are simply saying that you, the Iranians, if you think that there is an opportunity for you to get involved in the war against Israel, most likely through your proxies in southern Lebanon and Hamas, so you will see ours. You will face the American firepower. But on the other hand, the Iranians are saying that you, the Americans, if you step into Gaza, if you somehow support Israeli forces to organize military raids on Gaza, so you can never be sure that Hezbollah or other Iranian proxies in the region will not target you. So this is a kind of a message delivery on the part of Iranians, a clear somehow warning against the Americans not to escalate the crisis further, somehow avoid further supporting Israeli military incursions into Gaza region. But we should also underline the fact that such kind of activities have occurred in the past. American forces targeted Iranian military facilities in Syria. Israeli sources targeted Iranian facilities in Syria. And such kind of events did never escalate into further levels. So I assume that these events will not have a final role in the ongoing dispute. They are not going to cause any further escalation. That's my personal opinion, of course.
Right. The U.S. has already reacted, though, with imposing new sanctions on Iran and Hamas. To what extent do you think that will affect the dynamics of this conflict?
I think it will not have a big effect because Americans have been already targeting Iranian economy through different strategies and putting Iran under economic sanctions in the past. So Iranians are quite aware of these particular American reactions. They are used to such kind of American reactions. Iranians are also quite clever in one particular sense. They have never fought Israel and the US directly. They have always relied on proxy forces in Lebanon and other places in the larger Middle Eastern region. So I hope, I don't hope, I hope, and also I assume that such kind of military exchanges in Syrian territory will not further escalate into much worse levels.
Right, but we are hearing from the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin saying that if Iran's attacks do continue, they will not hesitate to take further necessary measures. What do you think those measures would look like?
I think we have already experienced all kinds of measures so far because Americans have targeted Iranian economy, Iranian political regime through the employment of different strategies, putting Iranian economy under economic sanctions, singling out some Iranian officials who are very much involved in nuclear enrichment process. And most importantly, from a larger strategic perspective, Americans have been trying to bring into existence a kind of anti-Iranian geopolitical alliance in the region as well, pushing the Israelis and these Muslim majority nations in the Gulf region to come together to form a kind of anti-Iranian bloc in the region. But such kind of initiatives which have been adopted in the past have never had a real impact on Iranian foreign policy. Iranians have been, how can I say, sticking to their traditional line, defying American presence, challenging Israeli supremacy. So this kind of situation, I think, will continue to exist. I don't think that Americans are going to increase the degree of pressure on Iranian authorities, but because we are in the middle of a kind of, in one way or another, a psychological warfare as well. So decision makers are quite alerted to such kind of things. So if they think psychologically, we might end up in a much worse situation.
All right, Professor Tarik Oguzlu, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.